Okay, I'm going to go over this Equinox, just the display and the settings and all that. I know you could see this in the user's manual, but it might make a little more sense because I've used it for a little bit, and maybe the people that are waiting, can get something out of this when they finally get there. So we'll just go over this real quick. And just this here, they call this is the LED screen, obviously, right? So then we'll just go up here. This little green light is the charge status LED. I believe it is solid when it's fully charged, and it is blinking when it's charging. When I first got mine, the battery was almost dead. I think a lot of people are saying that. So probably going to have to charge it first. I wanted to get out and use it right away, but I just suffered and charged it. Next is the power button down here. The power button, this ain't the button. The button's on the side over here. So it turns the power on and off, and it's used for factory reset. So to turn the power on, you hold it down for probably less, maybe a half second or so, and then turn it back off. It's pretty instant. You just press it and it goes off. You don't have to hold it for like 2 seconds or anything. If you want to reset the metal detector to factory defaults with the detector off, press and hold that power button for like 8 seconds, and you'll see an FP come across the screen. It's back into factory presets. Now, if you're in, get sidetracked here for a minute. Speaking of that, that's how you factory preset it. If you're in one of the programs and you've been playing with it and you just want to reset it, like say you're in Park 1 and you've made a bunch of changes, you don't want to reset the whole detector, just hold this detect mode button down for like, I think, 2 to 4 seconds. It makes a little tone and it resets, just the individual program back with this button. So we'll keep going though. That's the power button. The backlight button is over here right below the power button. It's got the 800's got 3 settings, I think a high, a medium, and a low, and an off. So the first time you press it, press number 1, it's on high. Press it a second time, it's on medium. Press it the third time, it's on low. Press it a fourth time, it's off. Fifth time, it goes back to high. High, medium, low. This is the detect mode button. It scrolls through all the available programs like Park 1, Park 2, Field 1, Field 2, Beach 1, Beach 2, and then Gold 1, Gold 2. Then when it gets to the end, it starts back over at Park 1. Then we have the all metal button. It's just pretty much what it says. It allows you just to toggle quickly to all metal. And I believe, I have to double check, but I think like if I had a trashy park pattern set up with certain tones in place, I believe pressing that all metal button would leave your tones in place, but only you would get like the iron tone and all that. Okay, this is the next one here, pinpoint detect button. It does what it says. You can use it as a pinpoint button. Just press it once, it's in pinpoint mode, press it again, and it's out of pinpoint mode. Or when you're in the settings menu, you can press this one time to return to like just your detecting screen or whatever. So let's go over here, wireless audio button, which is on the side right over here. You press that to activate the Bluetooth or Wi-Fi stream to connect. Basically, if you're trying to connect to wireless, you just press that, and then you'll see a little icon up here. It starts flashing. This next button on the side over here, user profile button. It allows you to save a custom profile. Like for me, say if I set up a trashy park pattern with a bunch of tones the way I like it, I can just press and hold this user button for like I think 2 seconds or so. It'll make a noise and it lets you know you saved your user profile button. Now don't do like I did. I got it all saved and set up, and then I was messing around in one of these others, and I pressed that user profile button to load my user profile, but I held it too long and I overwrote it. So it's just a quick press of that user profile button to get to your customized profile. Next is the settings button. So if you just hit it one time kind of quickly, it scrolls through all the settings menu, and I'll show you that in a minute, all the different choices. But so you just keep pressing that settings button to scroll through. It'll start over here like frequency, whatever, noise cancel, then ground balance, whatever. I can't see them all, but it scrolls through all these available choices down here. And also, once you're in certain ones of these, not all of them, but some of them have an advanced menu. Like say maybe the tones has an advanced menu. So if you're on tones and you want to get to the advanced menu, just hold this settings button down for 2 seconds, then an underline comes under the currently selected item, and then it gives you an advanced menu. We'll have to maybe the next picture down, it'll show you that. Then we got the accept reject button right here. It says press when a detection occurs to reject the detected target ID. So you could, that's one way of doing it, or you could also scroll through there and set up a trashy park pattern or accept and reject just certain VDIs. You use these plus and minus buttons to go through, like, you know, you could reject anything, any of the trash targets just by, you know, using the plus and minus buttons to get to that ID. Like, okay, I want to get rid of number 24, go to 24 and hit that button. And it's also used to, like, when you're doing a noise cancel or something, you hit this button, you select noise cancel over here, then you just press this and it goes through the noise cancel. The noise cancel is a lot faster than on the E-Track. And also, like I said, you can use it. It has several different uses, not just the accept reject button. Minus and the plus buttons. These do several things too. Like when you're in the detect mode, this sets your sensitivity. The plus and minus, you know, just it'll set it higher or lower. But when you're in these settings, it allows you to change stuff. Like maybe if you want to manually change your ground balance, you use these, or your iron bias, or your recovery speed. Once you're in them sub menus, then you'd hit these plus and minuses to, you know, go through the different settings. This here frequency button, it just lets you cycle through all the frequencies. Like if it's on multi, every press, then it'll go to 5, it'll go to 10, 15, 20, and 40, then it goes back to multi. So it just cycles you through the different frequencies. Okay, we're going to go for some of what these icons mean on the screen, all right? This first thing here is the battery status indicator. I believe full bars is 70 to 100. If you got 2 bars, it's 30 to 70. And I think if you only got 1 bar, it's like 30% or less. This next button right here, backlight button, it shows up when the backlight is on. Next is the target ID. That's this right here. It tells you, it basically gives you an ID number for a target ID. Pretty what it says, you know. Next thing here, all these little things here is the discrimination scale. I think it goes from -9 to +40, and you can accept or reject each one of these little numbers. So you could set up almost any kind of pattern you want on here. I don't want to get too deep in. Yeah, right here it says -9 to 40 discrimination scale. So that's pretty self-explanatory, discrimination scale. Sensitivity indicator, that's this one. I believe it goes in 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. That gives you an idea. 5 to 25. What do we got now? We got this little guy here, this beach overload indicator. It said indicates an automatically reduced transmit signal. I don't beach hunt, so I've never seen that one or used that one. This here, right here, is the pinpoint. It appears when you're in pinpoint mode. This right in here is the audio connectivity. I haven't used the headphones, but you know, pretty much understand. You'll see one of these signals, one of these icons, if you have this turned on. Looks like headphones, Wi-Fi. This little thing here is the tracking ground balance. If you see that, you know your ground balance is not on manual, it's in tracking. This little guy here, when you press this user profile button, you see this little guy on the screen, you know you're in your user profile. You'd have to come back here and, you know, hit the settings button to get back into one of these other programs. And if it's just kind of on the fly, it's just like having just an extra program, a custom program. Just hit the button and you'll see this little guy up here, and you know you're in your custom program. Depth gauge, I believe it goes in increments of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 or greater. You know, it ain't going to go any farther than that. Frequency display, which is right here. It'll tell you whether you're in multi, like it says right here, or if you're in 5, it'll say 5 kilohertz. So under here is your frequency display. Detect modes, we'll see these in here are all your different detect modes. It's not going to show all these at once. It's going to, like if you're on Park 1, that's all you'd see. You'd see this little park thing, you'd see a 1. You wouldn't see this, a 2, or none of the other stuff. So whatever you're in, that's all it shows. We'll go with these now. When you see these little, and they're not all, you can cycle through these with the, detect the mode button or whatever, settings button. So when you start pressing the settings button, it'll go to noise cancel. Then it comes over here to ground balance. Then it comes over here to volume adjust. Then this is the threshold level. These are your target tone. This is where you can set, the number of tones. This is your accept, reject, and this is your recovery speed. And like I said, as you hit that button, it cycles through all these and lets you make changes. Like on this noise cancel one, you would hit the noise, you'd get that up, then you would hit your plus minus button, and it would noise cancel. And then some of these you can see down here. I don't know if I can click down there, but some of them have sub menus, like this volume adjust. This one here, if you hold the button down, the settings button down for 2 seconds, it goes into a sub menu, tone volume. That lets you, I believe that lets you set the volume of the different zones you have set up. So you can, if you have it on 5 tone, you can make this one quieter, this one louder, this one quieter, louder. That's what it lets you do there. Under the threshold level, just pretty self-explanatory. Lets you set the threshold whether you hear it or not. It's the threshold level. You hold it down for 2 seconds, then it'll go into an advanced menu where it lets you set the threshold pitch. And then the target tone here, you hold it down for 2 seconds, then it goes into a tone pitch mode, and it lets you set the pitch, or pitch sounds kind of weird, but it's like higher pitch or lower pitch, whatever. If you want to have a real low tone or a higher tone for certain targets, it lets you do that. The accept reject button, if you hold it down, the settings button down for 2 seconds, it goes into a tone break. It allows you to define where your tone break points are. Now the 600 don't have that. The last one is the recovery speed right here. Hold the settings button down for 2 seconds. It goes into a sub menu or an advanced menu called iron bias. That's where you set the iron bias. I turn mine off. It seems to work better for me. With it on, I found you may lose some deeper signals. I'm not saying it isn't going to help eliminate deep iron, but me and Craig were doing some testing, and when we turned it, there was a couple targets that he couldn't get that I was getting until he turned his iron bias off. So I was getting some deep ones that he couldn't even see. What else can we do here? That's pretty much it. I'm sure there's some stuff I'm forgetting, but it's, hopefully it gives you a little bit better understanding of what, how it operates. I know it's hard. Maybe I could do a video of actually going into these menus and showing you, but that's just a basic overview of what it is, and maybe it helped you a little bit.